Or are you prepared to be the generation that lost the extraordinary exceptionalism of this country? For the road we are on right now will rob us of what makes us special. If we stay on the path we are on right now, you and I will be the first generation in American history that leaves their children and their grandchildren worse off than themselves. It is a path that both parties have put us on. The Democrats have most of the blame, but Republicans have cooperated. They say there's no bipartisanship in Washington. There most certainly is. A $19 trillion debt is a bipartisan debt, run up by both political parties. We are now plagued with a political process in Washington that is totally out of touch with what your life is really like. Totally out of touch. Trust me, I work there. I see it every day. They are completely out of touch in both parties with what it is like for a working family to try to make ends meet. For what it's like to put your money in a savings account and make zero interest on it, while Wall Street's making record profits. For what it's like to buy a home like I did in 2005, and 3.5 years later see it lose a significant percentage of its value, not because we did anything wrong, but because the Federal Reserve and bankers and everyone went nuts and blew up this housing market in a huge bubble. Completely out of touch with what it's like to owe thousands of dollars in student loans. Completely out of touch with what it's like to try to survive in small business, where every week they hit you with a new regulation, a new mandate, a new rule, a new Obamacare requirement. Completely out of touch. And it's worse than just being out of touch. They have no sense of urgency, as if we have forever to solve these problems. Meanwhile, an entire generation of young Americans is being left behind. Young Americans who are going to buy homes and start families later than Americans have ever done that. Young Americans who may never get the chance to start their own business because the student loans have ruined their credit, or because there's no room for small business anymore. For the first time in 35 years, we have more businesses dying than starting. Completely out of touch and no sense of urgency about the fact that a record number of Americans have quit looking for work. Of course unemployment's down to 5%. A record number of people aren't even looking. They don't even count towards that number. Completely out of touch with the fact that not only does everything cost more, there are more expenses than ever before, but wages are flat. They're not growing. Completely out of touch and no sense of urgency. And if we stay on the road that we're on right now, we just elect the same people with the same ideas, the next person in line, things are only going to get, they're not going to get better. They're going to get worse. We cannot afford another 4 years like the last 8 years. That's why I have such a passionate sense of urgency about this election. And that's why I chose to run for president. And I want you to know that the road to this has been tremendously rewarding, but not easy. When I ran for the Senate 5 years ago, the entire Republican establishment in Washington, and I mean the entire leadership of the Senate was against me. In fact, the only senator that would endorse me, that would even meet with me, was a man by the name of Jim DeMint. You might remember him. The only one. Later, Tom Coburn helped me too, but Jim DeMint believed in me. I texted with him this morning. I said, "Do you realize, Jim, that there were 3 people on that stage last night running for president? 3 out of the 8 are people that got into politics because you helped us get there." The only people that thought I could win was Jim DeMint and the 5 people that lived in my home. And 4 of them were under the age of 10 at the time. But I chose to run then. They told me it wasn't your turn, but I chose to run because I didn't want the next president of the United States, I didn't want the next U.S. Senator from Florida to be someone that was going to go along with the Obama agenda. I wanted it to be someone that would stand up to this agenda, but also offer a clear alternative. But 4.5 years have passed, and nothing is happening. You elect a Republican majority in the Senate, and nothing changes. The executive orders keep coming. The overwhelming rules and regulations keep coming. And I realized that while Congress can help shape an agenda, only a president can set it. And I knew that we're running out of time to get this right. And so I chose to run for president. And many of the exact same people came forward and said, "It's not your turn, you got to wait in line." I didn't know there was a line. And what are we waiting for? We have time to turn this country around, but we're running out of time. The time to act is now. And so that's why I chose to run for president. Because I know that despite our challenges, we have before us the opportunity, not just to save the American dream, but to expand it to reach more people and change more lives than ever before. And if we do our part, if we rebuild our military so that we remain the strongest nation on earth, if we give our private sector the policies they need to succeed, and if we help our people access the skills they need for 21st century jobs cheaper and faster than they can access them now, then the American dream is going to change more lives than it's ever changed. And the 21st century isn't just going to be as good as the 20th century, it's going to be better. It's going to be a new American century. And I'll close with this. I was asked this question last night, or something about why should we vote for you and not Hillary Clinton? And it took me like 8 seconds, because literally I wasted 8 of my 90 seconds laughing, because I couldn't contain myself. I said, I've been waiting all my life to answer that question. The Democrats are the party of the past. Their ideas didn't even work in the 20th century. They're a disaster now. Their solution to every problem in your life is, I'm going to raise a tax on someone, and I'm going to give it to government so they can spend it on your behalf. Their answer to every problem is an old, outdated idea that doesn't work. We have the chance to be the party of the future, to be the party of the 21st century, to be the party that is realistic about our challenges but optimistic about our future. And that is what I want this campaign to be about. That's what I want our party to be about. The time has come for us to apply our principles of limited government and free enterprise because they work. They work better than they have ever worked. We need to apply those principles to the unique challenges of our time. We don't have to change our principles. We already have a Democrat Party. If you want more government, more spending, more federal government growth, and a weaker national defense, vote Democrat. We need to be the party of the future, the party that applies the principles of limited government, free enterprise, and a strong national defense to the unique challenges of the 21st century. And if we do that, we won't just win this election, we will win the future. And history will say that we are the authors of the greatest era in the history of this nation. And our children and grandchildren will grow up to be the freest and the most prosperous Americans that have ever lived. And I want to start that here in South Carolina, and that's why I hope I can earn your support. And that's why I ask you to come into this office and volunteer. Give us your time. Give us your friends. On Facebook and Twitter. Go on our website and figure out ways to get involved. We need your help. Because together, if we do our part, we are going to usher in a new American century. God bless you. God bless you very much. Thank you very much.
Why?